Thank you very much. I am honored. I feel very welcome. I was watching your ceremony. What a spiritual event. What a great organization to work with and for, so congratulations. I have a quick question. How many people in this room have read Rich Dad Poor Dad? May I see a show of hands? Thank you. And who has not yet read the book? Please raise your hands. Okay, good. There's a few people out there. I can sell a few more books to, so thank you. Okay, for those who may not have read the book and for those who read it a while ago, I'll just bring up the speed on it. The story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a true story about my two fathers. I was raised in Hawaii, born in Hawaii. I'm fourth generation Japanese American, which means I don't speak Japanese. I barely speak English. And the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, my real dad is my poor dad. He was a great man. For Japanese, fairly tall. He was 6'4". And I call him my poor dad, even though he had a great education. He had he graduated from the University of Hawaii in 2 years with his bachelor's degree. Then he went on to Stanford, University of Chicago, and Northwestern, and got his PhD. And when I was in school, he was the head of education for not only the island I grew up on, but for the state of Hawaii. Very good man, smart man. Whereas my rich dad was a man with no education. And he was a man who, his father died when he was young, and he took over the family business. So the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad begins when I was 9 years old. I was transferred to a new school, and most of the kids in this school were rich kids. They owned the sugar plantations that my family worked for. So, and across the street was the school where I should have gone to. But for some reason, I went to a very rich school. And that was the first time. I was 9 and I realized I was stupid and I was poor. I never understood why, you know. Those kids are very smart. I was not very smart. And they're rich. So I raised my hand in the 4th grade and I asked my school teacher, I said, you know, when are we going to learn about money in school? And the teacher laughed. She said, we don't teach you about money in school. So I got a little nervous and I said, so you asked a question. And I said, why not? And she couldn't answer the question. You know, I thought, well, that's silly. I said, why am I in school? She said, so you can get a job. And I said, well, what if I don't want a job? She goes, oh, keep your mouth shut, just sit back there. You know? But I couldn't understand why my family and friends work for the rich guys. I didn't understand. And that's kind of where my life began, because I wanted to know, what did the rich guys know that we didn't know? So I kept asking the teacher, and finally she said to me, she says, look, if you stay in school, get your bachelor's degree, get your master's degree, and get your PhD, you'll be rich. And I said, that's a bunch of bullshit, you know what I mean? And the reason I knew it was BS was because my father had his PhD, my uncles and aunts had their PhDs, and they're all broke. So I knew something was missing from school at the age of 9. And although I didn't know it at the time, but that became my life's pursuit, to figure out why are the rich getting richer. And you can see today the rich are extremely rich, and the poor and middle class are getting poorer, even in America. So the gap between rich and everybody else is not so much an economic problem, it is an education problem. So today, fortunately, you know, I go around and I speak to groups like yours, like this, because how many people realize that the world economy is in trouble? in very serious trouble, like we've never seen before. We have never been in such a precarious position in world history. And I've studied the history of money for most of my life now. Never have we been in such a more dangerous position. That's the bad news. The good news is you guys are in the right business at the right time, so congratulations. So I've been fortunate. I did graduate. I flunked out of high school twice because I can't write, of all things. And now I've written, the #1 best-selling book in history. But please hear me. The reason most people are struggling financially today is because they're educated by good people, but they're poor people. Most school teachers are poor. And they actually believe that if you stay in school, you'll get rich. That is an obsolete idea. The world has changed. So what I'm going to be talking to you today is about why I go and teach. I really don't need the money. I make more than enough money. I make more money sometimes in a day than people will make in their lifetime. Because once you understand how money is created, you'll never need money again. And I know some of you are here. I know some of you was a hard time getting here. I know some of you it was expensive. But I've been there too. When I met my wife back in 1983, I wasn't only in debt, I was $1 million in debt. And the good thing is, I could not get a job to pay off the $1 million. And what I had to do was keep doing what I was doing. And I assure you, what you are learning from Xango is the very thing that you need to do to keep going, to become financially free. It's not about being rich. Rich is relative. But you have a chance of becoming a rich person from the inside, a rich spirit. And if you go to school, they're going to kill your spirit. I'm not blaming the school teachers. The thing I was very excited about watching you guys on stage here is Xango rehabilitates your spirit. And so today, I dedicated my life to teaching people what it is to be really rich. And the problem with being rich, there's many ways you can get rich. There's not just one way. The most popular way is marry somebody who's rich. And you know what that makes you? There's a lot of them walking the streets out here right now of Las Vegas. They'll trade sex and love for money. I don't recommend it. It's fun, but it's not recommended. And you can also get rich by being a crook and run for political office. But other than that. And if I could stop for this moment, given that next year is an election year, is my dear friend Donald Trump is running. And I don't know why he's saying what he's saying.
Mexico, Mexico, Mexico.
I've known him for about 12 years, and he's a very good man, and he's saying things he really shouldn't say. So when he was speaking about my friends from Mexico and south of the border, I was a little disappointed. And because, as we all know, there's a lot of drug dealers and rapists who aren't Mexican. They're white guys too, you know what I mean? And so for him to do that, I was like, why do you say that? So he didn't like my comments, but that's his thing. Anyway, I have a number of illegal aliens working for me. But they're now legal. And that's what Donald is saying, get legal. You know, he's very strict on his rules. But I was talking to one young lady. She was illegal in Phoenix, Arizona, where I live. She's been illegal for 27 years before she became legal. And she is one of the finest young persons I've ever met. You know, unfortunately, they deported her husband. And I sit there and I just get sick to my stomach, you know. So I asked her, I said, what is Trump doing for you? He's pissing everybody off. But she said, well, the most important thing, you know, everybody says Hispanics don't vote. She says, next year we're voting. For Bernie Sanders. Anyways, that's my political message. Everybody's entitled to their point of view. It's a free country and all that. But as I said, the thing that was most impressive about watching the stage up here is this is the way the world should be. You know? That we all come together as people, human beings, assisting everybody else to find their dreams. So I congratulate all of you for being here. Thank you. So let's just complete my background for those who didn't know. Is although I flunked out of school twice, I had very high SAT scores and very bad grades. But I did have one attribute that every school wanted. I played football. So I got nominations to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I took Kings Point because Kings Pointers are the highest paid graduates in the world. Back in 1969, when I graduated, my classmates were making about $120,000 a year. It's not much today, but in 1969, for a 21-year-old kid, that was a lot of money. So in 1969 also, I got a job with Standard Oil, driving oil tankers. And I sailed from San Francisco, Alaska, Hawaii, Tahiti, and back. It was a great life. Unfortunately, the Vietnam War was still on, and my conscience got to me. And I resigned from that high-paying job with Standard Oil and joined the U.S. Marine Corps. And it's one of the best decisions I made in my entire life. I was commissioned lieutenant. I was already commissioned. And I went to flight school in Pensacola, Florida. Then I graduated, went straight to Camp Pendleton, and straight to Vietnam. And it was one of the best growing experiences of my life. I was very good at what we did. We're gunship pilots. You'll see a video of what a gunship pilot does. We're very good at killing. And then one day I couldn't do it anymore. One day I couldn't shoot this little boy, even though he was a Viet Cong. I just couldn't do it. And at that point, my career as a Marine was over. And I came back, was stationed in Hawaii. And at the same time, my poor dad, my real dad, had made the tragic mistake of running for lieutenant governor against his boss, the governor. And my father lost his job. And so here I am, 25 years old, 1973. I see my father, the poor dad, sitting there filling out job applications. Can you imagine being 50 years old looking for a job? A PhD. He couldn't find a job. And it was one of the saddest things I'd ever seen. So I asked my dad, my poor dad, so what should I do? He says, oh, get your Bachelor of Science degree, get your Master's, get your PhD. And I said, Dad, I'm going to wind up just like you. You know what PhD stands for? Poor, helpless, desperate. Now, there's no financial education in schools, ladies and gentlemen. So by you being here at Xango, you're getting a better education than you would give a PhD. Yes. Yeah. So when my poor dad, he says, go get your PhD, I went, damn. So that's when I went to see my rich dad, and my rich dad, I said, I said to the rich dad, I said, I want to be an entrepreneur like you. And he said, that's good. He says, I said, what do I have to do? He says, the number one skill for an entrepreneur is you must sell. I went, sell? And in my family of academics, PhD, sell is a 4-letter word. They're academics. And I didn't want to sell, and so my rich dad kept talking, I said, is there a better way? He says, no. He says, look, in the real world, you have to work with real people. As entrepreneurs, you don't just do it the way they do it in school. You have to deal with idiots, perverts, punks, criminals, everything to be an entrepreneur. And if you can't deal with them, you'll never make it. So finally, I didn't want to become, I was stationed in Hawaii, I was flying out of Hawaii. I had another year on my contract with the Marine Corps, and finally it was kind of this churning in my gut, the same churning you have in your gut every time you present the plan. I said, what am I going to choose? Am I going to be an employee, or am I going to choose to be an entrepreneur? It's not an easy decision. How many people know that decision deciding? It's hard. I'm going to choose to be an entrepreneur. So finally, I still hadn't made up my mind, and went to see my rich dad, and I said, look, is there a better way? I don't want to sell. And finally, rich dad asked me, he says, Robert, how's your sex life? And I said, it's terrible. He said, because you can't sell. And today, on this video, you will see a picture of my wife. We've been married 30 years now. She is drop-dead gorgeous. She also turned me down for 6 months. If I couldn't sell, I'd still be lonely, So it's not just about what you're going through when you can make it up on the stage here. You're going through the most powerful process there is. It's called getting in touch with your spirit, choosing life the way you want to live your life, not what somebody else tells you to live your life. And that's why I really hated school, going, you have to get a job. So, but what if I don't want? You have to have a job. You've got to play it safe. You can't make mistakes. I said, so what I want to tell you is this: the worst advice you can give a child today, because we're no longer in industrial age, we're now information age. When you tell a child not to make a mistake, you keep them stupid. The only way a person learns is by making mistakes. You watch a little baby learning to walk, the little baby stands up and falls down, stands up and falls down. But the kid keeps standing up, the spirit keeps driving them on. Then you learn to ride a bicycle and you fall off a couple of times and then you learn. But you go to school and then they punish you for making mistakes because you don't memorize the right answer. That's how stupid, that's why my poor dad was poor. According to him, there was only one answer, and that answer was get a PhD and get a job. Then when he lost his job, he found out he didn't have what it takes to do what you guys are doing.
Wow.
Our school system is pumping out cowards, bureaucrats, Obama, everything else, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I think they're all idiots, but anyway. So many of our political leaders are so afraid of making a mistake. And we're in severe financial trouble today. So that's why I say the bad news is we're in bad trouble, we're in an economic crisis. I think we could have an economic collapse next year, but you're in the right space. But it's going to take a lot of courage to get out of here. So that's why you're in the right place at the right time. So I will leave you with a couple of things right now just for you to think about, is how much the world has changed. When I was a kid, even if I didn't finish college, I still had a job. My friends who were all surfers and never graduated from high school, they got jobs in the sugar plantations. They were making more money as cane truck drivers picking up sugar than the school teachers were. So there was high-paying jobs for people who didn't do well in school. In 1994, that sugar plantation left Hawaii. My friends are unemployed today. They're broke, but they're rich. They're tropical agricultural people now. Marijuana, they're doing very well. So they became entrepreneurs. And the other thing that happens, just for the economic, because this is I love economics. Every time you shop at Walmart, not only does our money go to China, Pakistan, and other parts of the world, our jobs go there too. So lower prices is why jobs are exported, as well as the money goes over. But worst of all is that when we buy products from overseas, our national debt goes up. America is on the verge of bankruptcy right now. And our school system still has no financial education. So that's why I take the opportunity to come and speak to groups like you, because you are the future. You are the business of the 21st century. Disliked about school is they punish you for making mistakes. Well, look, you got to fail a lot of times. For example, I couldn't sell. I joined the Xerox Corporation for sales training. For 2 years, I struggled because the rich dad said you got to learn to sell. For 2 years, I couldn't sell. And finally, I went to see my rich dad. I was on the verge of getting fired. And I said to rich dad, how come I'm not successful? He asked me one question. He says, how many sales calls do you make a day at Xerox? And I said, on a good day, 3, most days, 1. He says, that's why you're failing. I said, why is that? Because you're not failing fast enough. You see, you're in the perfect organization that allows you to fail. The more you fail, the more successful you will become. You know, so finally what I did was that, this was 1975, 1976, I went to work for a nonprofit organization dialing for dollars at night, and my goal was to get rejected 30 times a night. In other words, I was going to fail 30 times a night. And the more I failed, the more I succeeded. So what you're learning at Xango here is how to fail and succeed, fail and succeed, fail and succeed. Or you can be like my poor dad, fail once and never succeed again. He could never stand up again. So you're in the right place at the right time. The other thing I love about it is in school, at test time, I was always very cooperative. In school, helping somebody is called cheating. But in school, especially in high school, I always sat next to the smartest girl in the class. And I sit there, give me the answer. And in school, that's called cheating. In Xango, that's called being a friend, a supporter. So even though you're failing or your friends are failing, hold them up, help them, encourage them to make it. Yes. That's how you'll make it too. And those communists from the school system who tell you that's cheating, tell them, get screwed. You know what I mean? Look, the way we're going to make it is by helping everybody else. I love about Xango is the only way you're going to get rich is you have to make other people rich. And if you will do that, you will win. But in school system and traditional corporate America, the only way you win is step on somebody else. Make sure they lose. That's why I left Xerox. Does that make sense, you guys? Yeah. So, cheat, which means help your friends, make as many mistakes as possible. Even if you're not succeeding, encourage other friends to keep going. That is a key to success. That's how you get rich. Okay? So I'll just give you a little financial information. Back in 1970, when I was making a lot of money, if I put $1 million in the bank, this is why I don't work for rich. First chapter on Rich Dad, Poor Dad. First chapter, the rich don't work for money. And you're going to find out from my video why I don't work for money. In 1970, if I put $1 million in the bank, I got $150,000 in interest. In 1970, I could live on $150,000. Can't do that today, though. But if you do that today, 2015, you put $1 million in the bank, and you might get $10,000. The reason I work and I teach, you're going to see in this video, is the rich are ripping us off through our money system. The more you work for money, the less money you're going to make and higher taxes you're going to pay. You've got to be smarter. So that's why our money has gone down as they print money. It is the worst thing you can do is save money. Saving money is for losers. But our schools still tell their kids, go to school, work hard, get a job, and save money. You've got to be crazy. That is as ignorant as it comes. The other thing they tell you is invest for the long term in the stock market. What you're going to see, I wrote, I don't know where the book is. Anyway. On the video, you're going to see in 1971, this is what happened to the economy. 2000, it fell. 2007, it fell. And today, we're at 2015. We're set for the biggest crash in world history. Millions will lose their jobs. It's bad news for them. Good news for you. The reason it's the business of the 21st century is the business is coming your way. It's not that crap they teach you in school. You've got to help your other friends, be willing to fail, cooperate, bring everybody else up. Okay? So I wrote a book in 2002. It's called Rich Dad's Prophecy. It said in 2016, the biggest stock market crash in the history of the world is coming. I was 14 years ahead of schedule. It looks like, and I was guessing, it looks like it's on schedule. Millions will lose their jobs. Now, this good news is I'm going to get richer. You will get richer. So it's a very critical time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this video, 15 minutes. The video is 60 minutes long. I wrote a book called A Second Chance. If you have a chance, read it. Very smart. It is because of the book, this is what I wrote about in Second Chance, is why I stand in front of you today. We have a chance to change the world, ladies and gentlemen. In a crisis, when this whole thing crashes, I'm asking for your help. Become teachers. Teach other people another way of finding wealth in their lives. You do it via cooperation, not competition. You do it by helping other people. You don't do it by stepping on people. And you do it by willing to make mistakes and encouraging other people to make mistakes and learn. That is how you get rich. That bullshit they teach you in school is crap. Times have changed. I mean, why would you save money when the value of your money is going down? I don't save money. I use debt. I don't recommend it, but I use debt. 2014 and 15, I borrowed $300 million, nearly $500 million. Because the reason I use debt is back in here, interest was about 10%. Today it's 2%. Basically, money is on sale. Well, why would they tell you to get out of debt when they want you to borrow money? You know, Dave Ramsey is a friend of mine, says get out of debt. Susie Orman says cut off your credit cards. That's for poor people. You have a chance to do everything the opposite of what they teach you. But it takes brains, it takes guts, and it takes courage. You have got to want to learn. You know, I've lost money, and every time I fell down, I stood up smarter. My poor dad fell down, never stood up again, because he went to school. So with that, I have this video. The reason I create this video, it doesn't have any agenda. I'm not religious, I'm not political, but we need to educate. So it's 60 minutes long. You'll see about 15 minutes of it. The reason I create the video is because with the book Second Chance, some of you out there read it, and I will have read it, and I thank you for reading it. Most people don't read today. So by watching a 60-minute video, it'll help you explain what you're doing, why you're in the Xango business. You know? Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Because the world has changed, our school system has not, and you're being ripped off. Every time you get a paycheck, I'll say it again, lesson 1 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the rich don't work for money. The rich create assets. You guys are not only making money, you're creating an asset called a business. Very smart. But most idiots are going to school to get a job and a paycheck and get taxed. That's crazy. I don't pay any tax because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm not an employee. And I don't pay taxes legally. I have no intention of going to jail and becoming somebody's boyfriend. You know what I mean? So you got to be smarter today, but not the stuff they're teaching you in school. So this little video is 14 or 15 minutes long. You can go to my company, Rich Dad. It's on how to see the future. And I use it, please use it, it's free. Use it to teach your people who want to join the business and talk to them, educate them. At least, even if they don't join Xango, they'll be better off because you're educated. You took the time to have them watch a 60-minute video and then discuss what they're going to do with their future. The biggest economic crisis is coming, and it is my generation, the baby boom generation. The baby boom generation has been the luckiest generation of all times. Estimates are that 80% of them will die in poverty because we're about to crash. And the reason we're going to crash, it says on this video, in 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, this is what happened. China is now crashing. It's bad news for my friends in Australia and Canada and New Zealand because China is a corrupt country. They were sucking cash. They were taking, cement and resources. Now they're going down too. So the reason I come in and I speak is I saw all this coming back in 1983. I saw 2016. We are here today. So I ask for your help. I ask for your help as being teachers, to be educators. So I said the mission of Rich Dad is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. You're all partners with me in that mission. Because the more you elevate everybody else, the world gets better. And we cooperate and we make the world a better place. So again, it's 15 minutes of a 60-minute video. You get the whole video, it's free from Rich Dad. It's called The Man Who Could See the Future. My best teacher was a man named Dr. R. Buckminster Fuller. He created the geodesic dome. I went to see Fuller's dome in 1967. In 1981, I studied with Fuller. In 1981, I was an entrepreneur in the rock and roll industry. I was working with the bands called, they're gone now, Duran Duran, The Police, Iron Maiden band. I was making a fortune. And then I met Fuller in 1981, and he talked to me about what is my life's purpose, what is my mission in life. And I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what is your mission in life? Is it just to get rich or help your friends get rich? If you're here to help your friends get rich, you're in the right business. So here is 15 minutes of a 60-minute video. Ready, go. So that video again is available for free. It's 60 minutes long. I ask you to join me in being teachers and educating people about the future. As I said, I believe we're going to a very serious crisis, either next year or by 2018. And use it as an educational tool. If you educate the people you're talking to about joining the Xango business, you have a better chance of supporting them. Most people, the reason they don't come to the network marketing industry is because they're still stuck in old ideas like go to school and get a job, work hard, and save money. That's nuts. It is nuts. People who do that are crazy. So I'll end by saying this quickly here. What's going on today, what happened after 1971, is every time they print money like this, the purchasing power of your money goes down. And today, compared to 100 years ago, our dollar is worth 95% less. It's only worth 5% of what it was 100 years ago. So people work harder and they get pushed into higher tax brackets. Really stupid. Really stupid. And then over here you save money, and that's the best you're going to get. It's absolutely crazy. And when you go to school to get a job, well, every time you shop at Walmart, jobs go overseas and debt goes up. So I'll just leave you with this thought, okay, as the end of it. I ask you to help educate our public, our people. You guys come from all over the world. The more we educate people, the more you encourage them to join the Xango business, the better the world gets. Because everything they teach you in school is opposite of what you stand for. So I'll leave you with this thought here, is that I learned this very early on from the Marine Corps. It's a thing called be, do, have. A lot of people want to have money, but unfortunately they aren't rich people. Let me give you an example. Most sports stars, like this guy Mayweather and all that, they may make millions of dollars, but stats show 65% are broke 5 years afterwards. And the reason they're broke is because they have money, but they're not rich people. Most professional athletes come from poor families, so they remain poor. I ask you to do your best and support in training people to be rich people. And this is the difference here, is what is a truly rich person? Well, all of us in a being, we have a body, and we have a mind, we have emotions, and we have a spirit. We're definitely not all equal in the body. You know, if God was fair, I'd look like Brad Pitt. It doesn't happen that way. And I was never a great athlete. And as far as the mind goes, it's really not the mind that they teach in school. The mind is that tape that's running in your head. It's approximately 1,000 thoughts. And that mind is saying, oh, I'll never be rich. Guess what? You'll never be rich. If you say, I'm not that smart, then you'll never be that smart. In other words, I'm not really religious, but from the Bible it says, and your words become flesh. What you say to yourself is you become. So my poor dad always said, I'm not interested in money. That's why he was a poor man. And every time he says, oh, the rich are crooks, then he couldn't become rich because that was his tape, that was his mind. And he says, well, I don't really like money. You're never going to make it. The worst part about it is with the mind is what you say is what you get. They found out in the school system, if the teacher tells a child the child is stupid, the child is stupid. It has nothing to do with the child. And if the teacher expects the child to be smart, the child is smart. But the most important teacher is you. It's what you're saying to yourself. In other words, if you don't change you, if you don't change what you think of yourself, nothing out here is going to change. The economy is in great shape, except for poor and middle class people. They're going to get fucked. Excuse my language, but I'm still a Marine. That's a scientific term. You got fucked. I love you guys, man. I'll tell you. If I did this in front of school teachers, there'd be a second crucifixion. The most important part of the human nature is emotions. How many people in this room are hard on yourself? Okay. That's the most important thing you're going to have to learn. Is every time somebody says no to you, your emotions have got to come back up. And the way I handle my emotions is either via prayer or by meditation. Let me give you the difference. Prayer is you talking to your God, and meditation is being silent, letting God talk to you. What is hardest?
Wow.
What is hardest is being silent. How many of you ever tried to meditate in your mind? What meditation does is quiet that. And if you can quiet that, then your spirit has a chance to get stronger. New thoughts come in. So every morning, I would say 90% of the time, praying, meditating, just being quiet. And when I'm talking to an idiot, I'm doing my best to be quiet, you know. I want to punch him out. How many people in this room ever lost your temper and got angry? So the power, what Harvard just found out with meditation, is we have two parts of our brain. We have a limbic system, which is the old brain, which is knee-jerk, knee-jerk, knee-jerk. That's called a jerk. I have been a jerk most of my life. And by meditation, what they found out, it stills the mind, but it increases the brain capacity. So by meditation, you actually get smarter. And what it does, it stops this mind and emotion combination right here. It allows you to think. When I was in Vietnam, I went down 3 times. And if I had panicked, it was the best thing the Marine Corps taught me, was when my engine quit, the first thing I said was, oh, fuck. I didn't say that, I said, holy fuck. So the best thing about being in Xango is when your emotions and your mind kick in, take a deep breath, keep going. If you keep going, you'll get richer and smarter. If you back off, you lose. Okay? And the last thing I want to talk about is the spirit. We're not equal mind and body. Like I said, Brad Pitt hasn't got all over me. Mind, a lot of people are smarter than me. Emotions, I gotta control those things. But ladies and gentlemen, we're all equal here. We are all connected to the your job in Xango is you have to get through this bullshit here and touch their spirit. Let them know inside of them is a rich person, somebody who's bigger than the problems. Somebody who's willing to help other people get rich too. You touch that person's spirit, your business grows and life grows. So that's why I come and I speak to you, because I want to encourage you to keep going. We have a big job to do. The world's in trouble and it needs your help. So I'll just leave with this last thought. I didn't like school, but when I got to the academy in New York and I joined the Marine Corps, they left me with two messages. Number one thing the academy and the Marine Corps asks is, what's your mission? What is your mission in life? If it's just to make money, this is a tough business. If your mission is to bring your fellow human beings along, you're in the best business. Another thing it taught me in the Marine Corps was a code of honor. The trouble with this world today, there is no code, there's no honor. The most important thing you have in here, you have people that can be a part of your team, your code, the people you will live and give your life for. I am alive today because my friends died for me. And I don't... And you have that chance, that opportunity to make the most powerful bonds. You have a mission to bring everybody else up, but also you find people on your team who operate by the same code of honor. Thank you, our mission.
Kiyosaki and Xango! That is the good stuff. All right. He did exactly what I asked him to do.